Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Sonic Mania before I get buried in requests about it. Ain't a full dissected video because I'm waiting for Forces. I think Mania will be more fascinating to talk about alongside Forces, considering how much of a yin-yang they are. Spoiler alert! Well, mild spoilers. I'll try to be vague about the stuff that hasn't been revealed yet, but I will talk about them. But really, people who don't like spoilers shouldn't watch any of my videos anyway. Anyway, this isn't a review. I don't do reviews, just some thoughts. So, 2D Sonic is back! Yes! For the very first time since a couple months ago with Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. But this time in sprites! I suppose those were missing since Sonic Advance 3. And with physics! Now, I'm usually championing for the return of the rolling physics in Sonic games. Not that I care much, but because it'll hopefully make a ton of fans shut the hell up about them, which is good, because that means we can focus on fixing more important stuff, like making the games look less like Barbie's diabetes-induced fever dream, and making the cast less incompetent assholes. Not to mention, maybe having complex physics in a Sonic game will prevent Sonic Team from shoving in a bazillion extra playstyles and gimmicks in the game, as a more complex central structure of the game will make that more unnecessary. Not to mention make the development team too exhausted to be adding more junk. Hopefully. Anyway, I got into debates with classic Sonic fans dismissing fan games like Sonic After the Sequel and such, still not having the right physics and terrible level design, whenever I brought up those games, looking way more interesting than Mania in the past. So I figured I paid extra attention when playing Sonic Mania to discover what true physics are all about. And now, after studying both games, I can say that, well, behold, here is Sonic After the Sequel jump, and here is Sonic Mania jump. So hereby I declare Sonic Mania to be 0.03595% more physically than After the Sequel. Hooray! Level design is crazy in this game. Up and down and all around, especially in the later levels, it's intense. It makes the levels feel a lot more epic, but I have to admit it can be exhausting sometimes. Anyway, this reminds me of DuckTales Remastered. I remember reading in an interview or hearing a making-of video that they removed aspects of the original Nintendo game's level design, like when you suddenly have to move to the left at one point. Because, look at it, how is anyone possibly supposed to figure this out? Clearly this terrifyingly mad level design had to be stopped. Shockingly, Whitehead and his team disagreed on that, and Mania is more than happy to make you go left here and there. So be prepared for that. Terrifying 90s level design at its most terrifying. Other than that, the level design is amazing. I love this part where I have to get past these fire hazards, go to the secret tunnel, get a bonus fire shield upgrade, which I can then use to go through the exact same fire hazard bit again that I already passed before. And there are no fire enemies after this point anymore. Brilliant! Yeah, I know it's probably for Sonic to get a jump move, but for Knuckles, this is sad. Also, you need to know your Sonic games a little. My girlfriend was stuck at this point where you get stuck in this loop with no exit, because he didn't know you could roll through walls. So the game can be terrifying for newcomers. Speaking of terrifying, I have to say I was getting paranoid during the game. See, you gotta find those bonus level ring things to get to the Gale's Emerald bonus stage, but they're all hidden, just like in previous Sonic games. But they're a lot more rare this time, so I was constantly freaking out whenever I found a secret passageway, but there's nothing there. Hello? Emerald ring? Come on, I only have 27 more chances to beat those damn stages. But then the game wants to have fun and sends you flying with the boosters. Whee! Fun! No, I don't want fun, damn it! I want my stupid goddamn Gale's Emerald rings! Stop having fun! Gah! So you're constantly fighting against the game, like, but then you finally find one of those Emerald rings, and then you get rewarded by... Oh. No, come back! You know, there's this fan game, Sonic Time Twisted, which lets you redo the level at the cost of a life. That was nice. One fascinating aspect of Mania is reading reviews, a lot of which are still complaining Sonic Mania is still not pure enough and has sullied its perfection by adding underwater stages and the occasional quiet stage. What's with Sonic games and people getting this childish hyper-obsession in purity and constant speed? Maybe Sonic Mania 2 should just be a constant downhill slope, not to interrupt the speed with all this pesky video gaming in between. See, so Sonic Team is onto something with their empty corridor boosting game design. Because man, if even Sonic Mania isn't pure enough for you. Ah, story! So, Sonic is in Green Hill Zone with an elevator telling me that only Sonic 1, 2, and 3, Knuckles, and Mania are canon. Fuck you, elevator! At least Sonic CD and several other games are acknowledged to exist as well in this game. Then Sonic goes to a happy fucking random abstract nonsense land of nothingness, jumping through portals for no reason. But never mind that, this intro has absolutely nothing to do with the actual game whatsoever. Interesting artistic choice. In the actual story, Eggman found a powerful stone that gives his robots a makeover and half of them a sex change. Eggman then used this terrifying power to teleport Sonic into the most dangerous and horrifying death trap he can think of. Green Hill Zone Act 1. With this and Generations, somehow Eggman really seems to be convinced Green Hill Zone is the ultimate weapon to defeat Sonic. It's always his first choice. Can't wait for Green Hill Zone Act 1 to show up as a final boss in one of those games. Anyway, the rest of the game is just Sonic and friends moving from random level to random level. The transitions between levels are awesome. You leave Chemical Plant Zone and then enter the city in the background, which is Studiopolis. Studiopolis. Studio will punch everyone in the face who still complains about the pronunciation of Polis. Or you're in Stardust Speedway, the city on Little Planet, and Sonic falls down into a level from Sonic 3 and Knuckles on Angel Island. So I guess Sonic fell through the city of Stardust Speedway, through the planet surface, past the planet core, out of the other side where Angel Island happened to be beneath a little island, and then fell through that surface into the new stage. So that's quite a fall. But my favorite series of transitions is when you leave Floating Island on a plane, crash down in the desert, which leads to a Sonic 2 level, so we're on West Side Island, and then you fall off a cliff, which lands Sonic on Angel Island again. Amazing! I have a hunch the level order was switched late in development, and that's why the transitions are a bit wonky. I particularly think the desert stages were moved to the second half of the game. Probably this is just conjecture, but most of them have at least one bright stage, as the rest of the second half of the game is non-stop Eggman-based and Dark Runes. Seriously, 9 out of 12 zones are dark nighttime rune electro base levels. I think we needed a jungle stage or something somewhere for variation, but oh well. Then again, hey, after Eggman's budget has gotten so pathetic that the last evil base he had was a damn empty room with just a few light bulbs in Sonic Lost World, I suppose it is nice that half this new game takes place in electro death traps, either created or taken over by the good doctor instead. Nice change of pace again. Anyway, so some advice for people taking their Sonic lore and history and topography really serious. It's best for your enjoyment and mental health to forget everything you know about Floating Island, the Little Planet, and South and West Side Island, and just assume the levels you're going through in this game are just all brand new standalone stages on a new location. Because there is a logic to how the levels progress, but it's only in visual context. For example, to avoid spoilers, let's say, and this doesn't happen, this is just an alternative example. Let's say you have a level taking place in Station Square, Sonic Adventure, and then you enter the casino, but the interior level of the casino is the one on Planet Hex from Sonic Lost World. Thematically it makes sense, even if it doesn't in terms of location. That's kinda how Sonic Mania seems to operate. The levels follow each other up in thematic logic, but not in terms of Sonic lore logic. So again, just forget about South Island or Floating Island and how they work. Up until the hilarious ending, which is really weird. Both the bad and the good ending do this. Okay, I have to be vague to avoid spoilers. Alternative example again. Imagine, Sonic Generations' ending was suddenly a mirror of Sonic Adventure 2's ending, including sadness around Shadow's death, and all this amazement over stopping the Arc, even though Shadow and the Arc never had any prominence or specific focus during the entire game. It's just the one level on top of a pile of other levels and references. Shadow didn't die, and the Arc was just a random level devoid of context. But never mind. We still get a copy of Sonic Adventure 2 ending like everything had relevance after all. That's kind of what Mania does, suddenly copying a famous ending with all the awe and amazement over it, even though the rest of the game never made clear that that game or its story had any prominence or relevance to anything, other than just being a bunch of random levels among the other random levels. Especially after I spend most of the game trying to forget about the place in time and space those locations are supposed to take place in, because they made no sense in the game to begin with. So, that amused me. The only hint at its relevance is that it's the last recycled level before you get to the final stage, but then at that point I was so used to Sonic haphazardly teleporting all over the place with no rhyme or reason that I didn't bother to consider it important. Oh well. So yeah, the game is clearly not made for it, obviously, so yeah, whatever. Taking priority with meta jokes and references over attempting any kind of cohesive narrative, but then again, what else do we expect from Legacy Sonic at this point? His history and characters are such an incomprehensible mess at this point I find it hard to care anymore. At least the jokes are very funny. Sonic Mania can be hilarious at times and has a great energy to it, so it's a lot of fun. Just turn your brain off, or turn your brain on but set it to hilarious sarcasm mode and double the amount of jokes you'll get. I know I got enough material for a parody. The graphics are nice and detailed, although I do wish there was a little more variety. Could have used a jungle zone in between all the dark rune cave bases. Way to make me suddenly like the Green Hill Zone, if only for being the only bright nature stage. T-Lope's music is amazing, although it's usually only the second act tracks I like. The first acts are too close to the original, so don't really pop out. I love the true final boss music, and the whole concept of the true final boss in general, but I can't tell you. Interesting note, even though the Member Green Hill Zone and Member Chemical Plant Zone stuff is annoying at the beginning, but in the second half of the game, through the combination of using slightly more underused levels and morphing and changing them so much, and using them out of context all the time, the game starts to feel more and more like its own thing instead of just merely copying older levels, so that was neat. So don't worry kids, the Generations deja vu style does eventually wear off a bit. The game does become its own thing by the end. The game uses a great color palette, love the colors. It's good stuff. I enjoyed myself a lot, so great job team. I had a good time. It's a good game. Not spectacularly better than the better fan games, although sure there's a lot more detail, Easter eggs and polish than those games have. As for its score, I think I'll give it I don't rate games out of giving arbitrary numbers to art is stupid. It's the highest possible score I give. It's the only score I give. So, let me know in the comments how happy you are. I remind you right now that you can write comments, dislike this video, and follow me everywhere and get me banned from Patreon. Thanks. See ya.